What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Keith, how are you, man?
Today's the best day of my life, Ben. How you doing?
Today is absolutely fantastic. We got a great guest. I'll throw it over to you, Keith, the intro, our awesome guest, and then we'll get right into it.
We've got Santiago from Inversion with us today. Santiago, how are you?
Good, guys. When's the last time we had someone wear like a button-down shirt in the pod?
Ooh,
Have we ever?
I don't know if we have ever.
I like
Great.
it, though.
I came here hoping to break a record. My job is complete.
You did it, man. That's awesome, dude. So I'd love
That's
to hear about your story of how you got into working with markets, crypto, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my background was more on private equity. Like,
Okay.
I never felt like I had an edge in public markets. There's something comforting around thinking, okay, I love technology. I want to invest in venture. I want to meet. It's kind of the best job in the world because you get to meet founders who've been dedicating their entire lives to fix a particular problem. So your day consists of fielding calls to people that want your money and are willing to dump knowledge on you. And then you get to decide whether you want to invest or not. So I never felt like I had an edge in public markets, but of course, coming into crypto, nothing prepares you for crypto.
No.
I used to tell my former boss, it was a longtime private equity guy. I said, listen, you've gone through 2 financial crises. We go through those on the daily in crypto, like the volatility that you have. So it's like a liquid venture asset class, right? So I had to learn the hard way that I couldn't just be a traditional venture capitalist that invests in a startup, wakes up 10 years later and says, oh, this thing was successful or not because it went public or got acquired. Now you buy something like Bitcoin back in the day when I was buying it, and it was $50. And then you wake up one day and it's 70, and then you wake up the other, it's 30. And my lesson over the last decade plus in crypto is being an investor, no matter what you're doing, you need to have you need to be in tune with your emotions. And if you're not, it's very hard. Like the odds are stacked against you, no matter what you're doing. And so a lot of this is, I think a lot of people focus on, am I smart? Everyone's smart. And increasingly so with AI, and we can talk about like AI hallucinating and all that stuff. But there's less of an information edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it requires the emotional intelligence aspect of investing is very under discussed, very underrated. And I think coming into crypto, you just see that and you learn the hard lessons of FOMO, of not understanding your entry and exit points. Your portfolio construction is something that most people think about the thesis, but not, okay, am I sizing this well?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole lot of things that crypto is just a really good, whether you believe in the technology or not, crypto is just a really good training ground to cut your teeth as an investor, right? Because you can start with a small amount and you start really quickly and then really learn with, just for better or for worse, there's a ton of volatility on the back end.
Yeah, it's a great place to learn, and it's usually a painful place to learn, but usually the most learning comes through pain. So I definitely agree with that. What about the technology made you believe in it?
So I grew up in Mexico. So remittances and the use case of moving money cross border, even to this day, is incredibly inefficient, expensive, and obviously financial inclusion or lack thereof for a huge part of the population. Like less than 40% of Mexicans have access to credit, have access to like credit
Wow.
cards, debit cards. They're mostly in cash, and that always bothered me, right? Then you go to the U.S., you're thinking it's going to be any different, and it's not, because I'm sitting at J.P. Morgan, and multi-billion-dollar transactions almost fall apart because a wire doesn't get in time. And so I think anyone that's traveled internationally really understands that finance is very, very broken. And it's not, but the opportunity is most people in the US, if you interview them, or in Canada or in Europe, you'll tell them and say, what are you talking about? Like, finance works. I have Revolut, I have PayPal, I have Venmo, and payments and fintech is one of those areas that are really hard to understand. until you travel and you get ripped off in the FX rate and you say, wait a minute, that's not how it should work. Or your money gets, stuck in transit. And so for me, when I first discovered Bitcoin, I bought a bunch and sent it to like a bunch of people and said, if they can, this was during the time of Blackberries. You guys might have not been around, but there was the QR code, super native and whatnot. So it was easy to retrieve. And I've always kind of come back to crypto and the payments use case is very strong because you can send large sums of money or very small sums of money for a fraction of the cost, and it moves instantly. So even though it's quite volatile, this is before stablecoins. You could hedge it because the time in transit is so fast. It's so fast. So I think we've come a long way. Obviously, as an industry, we have stablecoins now, which are killer products. But I keep coming back to that core use case because as much as I like all of the other stuff that has cropped up, and it's true in investing, you don't have to do 10 things right. You do one thing really, really well, and that's big. And if the market's big and opportunity is big enough, like that's it. Like, because a lot of times in crypto, you hear people say it's not novel enough. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, we're trying to disrupt the financial system that predates the internet. Do you not think that's big enough? Like, you clearly either don't understand what's at stake or don't understand what's at stake.
And so you've taken the path of, from what I understand, taking your background in private equity, uh, seeing the opportunity in blockchain and digital assets and saying, well, how can we take the experiences that you have and then go out and acquire companies and apply the use of this technology within those businesses? Is that correct? Is that a fair assessment?
Right. So I started Inversion when Trump gets elected.
Mm.
A lot of times timing is everything. And if you want, like, you have to understand, like, what has been holding back the industry. So there's a lot of reasons, but one of the primary ones is that stablecoins have not been recognized as like legitimate instruments to do business, right, for payments and stuff. So the Trump administration obviously telegraphed coming in that they would be much more favorable and pro crypto. The day Trump gets elected, I start Inversion. I'm in New York in the Trump hotel starting Inversion. And the benefit of years before that is like investing in a lot of these teams and coming to the understanding, okay, like this technology is sufficiently advanced. It can work at scale. It could be applied to many different legitimate, like traditional businesses, but you're never going to convince a business and the board to implement stablecoins because they'll tell you, listen, man, I hear the headlines and it's all taboo, and this is kryptonite for my business. Like, it's going to kill me, right? So there's a lot of fear for business owners, but now, like, we've come such a long way in the last year and a half, right? You have Visa, Stripe, Tesla, SpaceX. Like, they're not just like buying Bitcoin; they're using stablecoins to do business. So my observation as a more in the early stage investing side is most startups fail because they fail to acquire customers. It's really, really hard, especially now. Like, there's the attention span of the consumer is 0 seconds, and so my core thesis of the Inversion is I'd rather buy a company that has trust, that has distribution, that I can then upsell higher margin financial products, right? A stablecoin. So go find the right business that you can inject stablecoins, right? That's like, number one prompt. Like, if you want to compete against us, please go and do it, because we need more people trying to implement crypto in the real world. Because this technology is really, really useful. Crypto is not a relatable piece of technology for most people in the world. And then you have the huge opportunity set, which is most people want dollars and don't have access to them. Go find and meet that demand. It's not just going to be us to do it.
Yes. So brand one in the chat actually just asked, can you expand on how companies are using stablecoins?
Oh, super easy. I mean, they're using it to settle trades. For instance, say you have a company in Africa and they are selling furniture that is produced in China. How are they paying the supplier in China? Well, USDT. And the supplier in China does and accepts USDT on Tron. Billions of dollars get moved every day on Tron. And in fact, Tron is a blockchain doesn't get, I'm not here advertising Tron. I'm just saying a lot of USDT gets moved on Tron. Chinese, the huge manufacturing centers in the world are in, places like Mexico, China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Cambodia. Those places, those suppliers accept USDT. And they accept USDT because it's super easy to move. And so that's like one example, right? So the benefits of that is money moves really fast. And so if you're sending or receiving, you love that, right? Because you get paid instantly. And USDT has a lot of trust, right? And by the way, not just USDT, but USDC, right, is also used, right? You have companies that are now working with Stripe, like Tempo, right? Like that is launching their own stablecoin, their own, L1 focused on payments. You're seeing companies like Klarna. You're seeing creator marketplaces a lot. Like so like you're like some sort of creator platform, and you have, imagine if you, I don't know, you're eBay and you have like a bunch of creators or people that are selling on the platform that need to get paid out. I mean, these are thousands of people, and the alternative is, in the traditional way, you would send them a wire, and that would settle T plus 2-3 days, maybe 7, depends on where you're sent, the end destination. Sometimes they don't really get it in time. Sometimes it gets flagged. So there's a lot of inefficiency in that process. But you pay them in USDC, they don't have to actually now. What's very interesting that is happening in the last 6 months is people now don't have to off ramp. Like they don't have to go to their local currency. They could just keep dollars in a wallet and spend with a credit, like a debit card, that you're swiping a Visa card or MasterCard, and you're spending your stablecoins. And then in the meantime, you're earning yield on that. So that's those are two examples of large sums, large platforms, large companies accepting and sending stablecoins, because it's just faster, better, cheaper, right?
100%. We had a interesting comment here from Brand One again saying, "Are they sending wallet to wallet or using an exchange or middleman?" And I guess to tack on to that,
All of the above.
gotcha. Are there any large players that you're seeing that sit in that in between layer to facilitate that?
Yeah, there's market makers in the equation. There's also FX brokers that you've never heard of, don't have a company name to them, but they just aggregate and send.
Wow.
And especially in the local markets like Nigeria or Djibouti or Cambodia. These people, like if you're I was just talking to a startup out there that's really focused on this, but if you have, like, imagine in like a country in West Africa like Nigeria, for instance, and you have 10 you have like 10 million Netflix subscribers, and they're all paying you in Nigerian currency. You have to pay Netflix in dollars. There's a broker there that collects the Nigerian, was it Naira, I think.
Mhm.
And then they source the dollars and they do the FX, and then they send it back to Netflix. There's like 3 different people in that equation.
Very
And
interesting.
that's just, it's kind of crazy, but it's a logistics business. Like, moving money is a logistics business, and stablecoins are still logistics business, because you still have to do the on and off ramping. You still have to source, and you have to, find the liquidity in the market. But USDT is king out there. You go to Hong Kong market, you want to pay for, food or something, and they'll accept USDT. You go to Argentina, you go to Brazil, you go to many places in Africa and Latin America, in Asia, they'll accept USDT.
100%. I want to give a shout out to Millman702 for making it to the live stream versus the recorded podcast. Welcome in, welcome in. And Santiago, you talked about Trump coming in and changing a little bit of the landscape for crypto, and you also anticipating that. Last year, the biggest thing that happened for sure, in my eyes, was the Genius Act getting passed. What was the impact of that passing? What did that say for the industry? And what are the actual implications of it moving forward? Have we seen the implications of that, or is that yet to come?
So the Genius Act hasn't passed. Who knows? I think the odds in play market are like 33%. Actually, I think it might not get passed.
The Genius
Oh.
Act versus the Clarity Act?
Sorry, the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act might not get passed.
Gotcha.
The Genius Act did get passed a little over a year ago, I believe, went into effect. It was like January of 2025 or something. It recognized stablecoins as instruments that are dollar for dollar. Um, of course, it recognized a class of stablecoins. Not all stablecoins are created equal. Like I still remember the days of investing in Basecoin and the algorithmic stablecoins and senior edge model based stablecoins. But the stablecoins that we are talking about here are backed in dollar for dollar in a bank account. And those are what the Genius Act recognizes. And you see a huge unlock 180 in terms of businesses, the interest of businesses to then explore stablecoin. So direct downstream effect of that is you have a number of acquisitions. I think what is it, Mastercard or acquired BVNK, Visa acquired. There's like 2 or 3 acquisitions that happened in the space. Obviously, Stripe acquired Bridge to do stablecoin orchestration. So the large financial players are telling you that now is go time. So they are scrambling now to find the right teams that have been building the space to layer on stablecoin capabilities. Like Visa has a huge effort, Stripe has a huge effort, and Mastercard has a huge effort. Banks have a huge effort. I mean, that's a real signal, right? Like,
Oh, without a doubt.
yeah.
I think a lot of people they really underestimated the adoption of stablecoins, and they thought a lot of this money transfer use case would have gone to things like Bitcoin or other crypto assets. Did you agree with those people, or did you always know that stablecoins would capture a lot of that use case?
I mean, the benefit of stablecoins is, like, I'll tell you, when I invested in prediction markets, like super early on, like Augur and Gnosis, it couldn't work. Because imagine you, Ben, you're putting in a bet of like, I don't know, Lakers against the Cavs or whatever. Right. And you make a bet in Ethereum, and Ethereum during that time goes down in value by 20%. You win the bet, but you lose money. Because the consumer mind, you don't think in ETH terms, you don't think in Bitcoin terms. Not yet, at least. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. These are investments, right? So I think you always have to go back to a stable unit of account to do payments or to do some consumer applications where the consumer cannot comprehend settling in ETH. No matter what the NFT bulls guys tell you, like, you think in dollars, the world thinks in dollars, your net worth is tied in dollars. People don't ascribe their wealth in gold bars or copper or oil barrels. No, everyone always goes and resorts to the dollar. And so I think a stable coin just comes in. And when I was looking at Polymarket early on, I was like, okay, now I think as an investor, you always have to think, what is different this time? What is the unlock? Because a lot of times, like, you're especially in crypto, like, things that might have not worked 5 years ago are now going to work. Why? Because you have a stable coin, or why? Because you have a regulatory framework in place, or why? Because you have more front ends, or you have more easier on and off ramps. And so it pays to revisit your thesis, because I think a lot of times as an investor, you make an investment, you get burned, and you're like, oh shit, I don't ever want to talk about NFTs. I close that chapter, never want to open it again. Don't talk to me about oil because I got liquidated when it whipped down to 90. It's now back at 130. I hate it. And I think it just pays to re-underwrite your thesis, right? So stable coins, I think, I don't think crypto assets like Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin hype are going to be used for payments. It's just, it's stable coins, right?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on NFTs and how much you participated in that stuff when it was going crazy.
I think I have one of the more recognizable crypto punks out there.
Totally.
So funny story, because I had bought some NFTs back in the day, like Crypto Kitties, and I had some Bitcoin NFTs, pre Crypto Punks, and then I had a couple of punks, and then I kind of forgotten about them. And then a good friend of mine who had backed his company, he's always kind of it's always that friend in the group chat that's like ahead of the curve, like his longevity or peptides or.
Yeah.
And I thought I was that. And then this guy kept coming to me and said, listen, and if like this community on Discord is bombing against CryptoPunks. I'm like, what, really? I mean, I feel like I've heard about this thing, but like, what about it? And he's like, no, man, like, it's real. You gotta get on it, get a punk. Then I talked to this guy called G Money, and he was a good friend. And I was talking to him because I thought he was smart. I think you always want to position yourself and be in the sphere of smart people. And so I was like, okay, this guy's onto something. He's a bit fanatical about it, but I love that. And he's like, dude, buy hoodie, buy hoodie. And at the time, he was trying to convince me to buy an ape, which is one of the rarest crypto punks for like $1 million. I was like, oh, that's a lot for a pixelated art. And he's like, dude, trust. And then I didn't end up pulling the trigger on that, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy more crypto punks. And at the time, I was like, okay, what do I buy? So, but I'm a collector, so I go, and the way I've always thought about collecting is buy what you love, and don't think of it from investment perspective. Now, if what you love, then other people love, it may end up being a good investment. But I've never thought about NFTs or other things that I collect. I collect rare books, for instance, which is like kind of a totally overlooked category. We talk about that, but we nerd out about that. But anyways, the story about punks is I ended up buying this hoodie. I bought it because it had glasses. I have glasses. It has a beard. I have a beard. A little bit darker skin. I'm Latino. So, and it had a hoodie, which is I felt that the hoodie trait was very, very underpriced. But it wasn't like the primary filter. It was just, oh, this is interesting. I can go buy a hoodie, and it's a kind of a really cool trait. And it was like relative to other traits like the choker or some others, I just felt like it was kind of overlooked. And I tell you, as soon as I bought it, the other punk 6529 ended up buying like a very similar punk to mine. And then the hoodie floor just went from, I bought mine for 79 ETH or so.
Wow.
And the floor shot up to 500 or so. But anyways, I've never sold any NFT other than one.
Wow.
That I got gifted. And it's because the company that I had invested in gave me this NFT and was like, hey, there's a really advocate community member that wants to buy it. I'm like, listen, I usually don't sell gifts. He's like, trust, he wants to buy it from you. And I was like, are you okay with it? And so I sold it. But what do I think about NFTs? Look, as much as technology comes in and changes a lot of things, there are certain things that don't change in human psychology and behavior. And one of those things is humans like to differentiate. Now, there's many ways you can differentiate. You can differentiate because you have a acquired taste in music and you have like niche music, but you want to showcase that. Why? Because we're social creatures and we need the validation. NFTs are really good because they have the digital footprint and provable scarcity that you couldn't have with a normal photograph, for instance. It's the same way that people collect, Van Goghs, right? Keith, you have what looks like a similar impressionist painting out there that is kind of like looks like a Van Gogh. It's not a Van Gogh. But people like it because they can flex, right? They can say, look, this is who I stand for. It's my identity. So I then sort of like, I do think NFTs are not going to go away because humans like to differentiate. NFTs are good mechanisms to not only express, communicate your identity in a digital manner. And as we spend more time in the digital world, these things that can showcase your identity are important, right? And by the way, NFTs totally are not just art; they can be many other things, right? So I don't think they're going to go away now. Actually, I lie. I did get gifted a Bored Ape, and I sold it because I don't like it. I just aesthetically, I just don't like it. I didn't want it to be in my wallet. It was kind of like polluting my wallet, and I was like, no, I don't want it in my wallet. So I'm very particular with the things that I collect, and I'm not in the trend chasing. I collect things I love, and if I like it aesthetically, then I'll collect, right? So
love it.
It's not an investment for me. Now I have bought some stuff that have like caught on in value, and it feels great, And then I've also bought stuff that has declined in value 80%.
You don't care,
That's fine too. I get value and utility out of it because I look at it every day. So in fact, like when I have one punk, I actually topped the punk floor. I bought a punk. My last punk that I bought was a bandana one. Because that was pretty cool, like rebel, like crypto's like anti-establishment. And I bought one, and it was a floor punk, and I think I bought it for the absolute Pico top floor, which was like a lot of money. And I have it in display in my house because as soon as I walk in, I see it. I'm like, it's something that I want to probably, the key takeaway is never believe your own bullshit. You're not that good of an investor. So I look at it because it's like, yeah, I topped that in many other things. So I'm not that good of an investor. never believe your own bullshit.
That's awesome. And so for these that are worth crazy amounts of money still to this day, and I don't think punks will ever go away. I think that'll be a thing that's just part of internet history and history for us at large. Is there ever a number that they could hit where you would sell it, or are you just never selling that thing?
There's always a price.
Okay.
You know
That's
what I mean?
awesome.
Like, there's always a price.
Okay.
I'm not actively trying to sell it. So again, this goes back to portfolio construction. Never be a forced seller.
Mm.
Charlie Munger used to say that the reason why people go broke is liquor, women, and something else.
Leverage.
And leverage, exactly. So I think you see a lot of leverage in crypto, and unfortunately or not, there was a lot of leverage in the NFT hype, right? And in the NFT boom, a lot of leverage. That was a metric that I was constantly monitoring. Is like, what percentage of wallets are going and depositing in Aave or Compound, borrowing against it, and then buying an NFT? Because the thesis was, okay, these things are pretty hot. They're gonna be a levered bet on Ethereum or Solana, right? If you bought Tensorians back in the day, they vastly outperformed Sol, and then you could have bought like Mad Lads and Solana. So like you wanted to buy the marquee NFTs in their respective chain, the chains that matter at least. And in Ethereum, it certainly was CryptoPunks. For a while, it was Bored Apes. In Solana, it was like Mad Lads, and it was to some extent Tensorians. But leverage just unwinds pretty fast, and so you saw a very violent unwind there. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but don't use leverage. Like, just if you're gonna buy something, don't buy it with a massive expectation. And even if you have a extremely bull case, it really sucks to be a forced seller, right? It really sucks to be like, shit, I was right on the idea, I was right on the thesis, but circumstances didn't allow me to hold on to this because I had to sell something and I needed the cash, I needed the money, and or I got liquidated. But I think, like, thematically, core thesis that I have is the world is only going to be more volatile because we're very connected, and there's an affordability crisis. And humans will crave the nostalgia. So this might be the bear case for NFTs, which is, yeah, NFTs are great to differentiate, but you don't want an Apple Watch. You want a real watch because you're glued to your phone. And so you want the release of, you know what I mean? Like, if you're spending as much time on the screen, humans will crave still the physical, the real meat space. And so I'm very structurally things that are experiences, things that remind us that we're human, things that break from that AI connectedness. It's stressful, right? I mean, if you're on the timeline, you're missed the photonics trade, and you missed the AI supply choke points trade, and then you missed that. Now that's like coins. And the average account in Robinhood is holding stuff for days. We used to be multiple years, and so that just means there's just going to be way more volatility, and everyone thinks they're informed. They're just connected. They're not informed. That naturally means higher velocity and cadence of trading, and it was fun. I mean, we crave validation. Markets are really good because they give you immediate gratification, and that human behavior again will not change.
Let's move into some of that too, because right now we've seen a major trend of finding even more ways to get that instant gratification from markets, from new kinds of markets. Santiago, what is your take on the development with prediction markets and the trading of information, as they call it?
Well, I mean, I was a seed investor in Polymarket, and before that, I invested in. When I was talking to Shane in the early days, I said, "Wow, this could really transform media." Back in the day, and it was certainly true that there was a lot of distrust with media. You've and there felt like there could be a great opportunity to surface truth. Markets are arbiters of truth. They surface the truth because you have skin in the game, right? There's willing buyers and sellers at whatever price you're looking at right now. And that's truth. That is worth more than an opinion. in many ways, an economist has the best job in the world because they're constantly wrong and they get paid a lot of money from banks to create research reports. So that's a bull case of prediction markets. They're just a new category of go read Wisdom of the Crowds. If you have a sufficiently diverse and large sample set, you will converge on the truth, whether it's number of jelly beans in a jar or who's going to win a political election. Certainly, you saw that poly market. I think there's a huge inflection point when the first Trump election was contested and the elected president pointed to poly market odds, and the resolution of that market became really contested, and then everyone learned about poly market. So that's very cool, right? I mean, you have these markets that are surfacing really interesting information. There's a lot of asymmetry in these markets, and that's something that, as of late, I've become just more vocal on. That we cannot assume that these markets are going to grow. Like even if putting philosophical takes aside, there's a reason why public markets are orders of magnitude bigger than private markets, because public markets agree that there's a set of disclosures and disclaimers that needs to be furnished for everyone that is in that marketplace. And there's an element of fairness that everyone has access to the same information to trade on that information, right? If you're going to buy Cisco, you can read the same annual reports, quarterly reports, 8Ks, 13Fs, everything that is disclosed. Any market that doesn't have orderly and fairness does not get nearly enough liquidity, right? You can go to private markets, difficult. You can go to bespoke commodity markets, difficult, right? Diamond markets, a bit more, esoteric and exotic. So my argument has always been, if you really want prediction markets to scale, you need to enforce and take a position on MMPI. Like if you are an insider, if you are in Taylor Swift entourage, and you know that she's not going to perform in Dallas, and there's a market on the Dallas performance, you best not trade on that, because it doesn't instill confidence in whoever else is on the other side that doesn't have an edge. And so I do think we'll get there. I think as of late, like they cracked down on that U.S. Army or like special forces that went to Venezuela and extracted President Maduro. I mean, obviously stuff like that, like it's kind of like borderline assassination markets, because that's a tail end of prediction markets. Like it's always been illegal to have assassination markets. It's kind of fascinating to think, okay, now you can imagine a world where prediction markets are influencing geopolitics and political decisions and military action. My argument to that would be, in theory, you could like attack a country and like short that stock market or companies that have exposure to that. So prediction markets are not anything new, but certainly like anyone looking in, it's like that special operative made like 400K overnight. Could that have compromised the mission? Like, that's something to think about.
And one thing we always talk about on the show, though, too, is that it's the access to these things, right? So like in the scenario that you said, where you could take down a country and short it, like the average retail investor to pull that off would be a lot more, like it wouldn't be possible, right? Whereas these kinds of things, everyone gets access to through something like a prediction market.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's insurance fraud, right? I mean, if you have a rare painting and you get stolen or kidnapping,
Yeah.
You may go watch Man on Fire, right? There's inside jobs, right? I mean, so there's always been insurance fraud. There's always been, like, again, it's not the prediction markets are facilitating that. It's just another manifestation. Now, I will say the benefit of crypto, it's more transparent, so you can actually crack down on these things.
Yeah,
right?
fair.
Yeah, there's a commenter. The markets already do this. Yeah, of course. There's asymmetries of information everywhere. There is. So I'm not as concerned about that. I do think that as a prediction market, you just have to. I wrote an article about it. It's just as simple as, if you anytime you're going to trade on a market, have a disclaimer. It says, if you have material, non-public information and or are an insider in this market, you do not trade. Like, it is against our terms of service and policy. I was like, and why exactly have we not had that? Like, again, this is where a lot of time my frustration with the crypto industry has been, we're very good at blaming people for why this industry is not the problems of this industry. It's like, regulation. You had the prior administration was very much against crypto, and that's certainly true. But I'm like, there's a whole lot of things that we can control, that we can change. Self-policing, making DeFi more safe. Having transparent, like Blockworks, for instance. Like, I do podcasts with them. I said, guys, create a token transparency. Have companies furnish team wallets, basic information. Like, there's certain things that crypto shouldn't try to avoid. Like, there's a reason why traditional markets like have these things. Let's copy what's working and let's not copy what's not. So I think that's where I think the industry is still very immature. It's like have some common sense and act like an adult if you want to be treated like one.
But I've seen a lot of people say that the insider information is a pro or like a feature of those systems. Do you disagree with that?
Again, markets are arbiters of truth. So yeah, look, super fascinating that you can go and point to that. I don't think it's going to fly though.
Fair.
So one is a more practical commercial answer. The other one's more a philosophical one. The practical commercial one's more important than the philosophical one.
So your point is that from a practical perspective, if I come to this market and the people who have the information are essentially cheating, then I don't want to play the game anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Churn.
Okay.
If you guys go on prediction market right now and you trade on a bespoke market of like, how many times is like Elon Musk gonna tweet, and you see Elon Musk trade against you and he controls that market, you're probably not gonna want to trade on that Elon Musk market again, right?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So that's my point, right? Markets work because if there's a perception, at least, of fairness and equal access. Now, there's still, look at the evolution of financial markets. People are quite literally setting up shop closer to the stock exchange and putting in wires to get information faster. Like, this is just human behavior, but at least there's nothing in the implementation of technology is ever binary. Like, we never get to a perfect state. So like crypto for a while has been super philosophical, perfect state. Go look at the Bitcoin camp. I mean, those guys are still caught up in a bunch of ideology, not like Satoshi coins, quantum resistance. Again, they're tied to a history of a version of the world that is neither realistic and moreover, they're like willing to jeopardize. They're willing to like put ideology above survival. And that just never bodes well. Like, you have to prioritize survival. You have to, because again, you can't be lucky if you're fucking dead. So what happens if a Bitcoin community doesn't upgrade with quantum? Well, Satoshi coins are going to move, and whoever has quantum and has access to Satoshi coins are going to dump that, and you're going to, probably lose the pristineness of Bitcoin being Bitcoin, and you open room to Zcash or some other network actually becoming the sort of de facto, store value digital gold analogy, right? So I think this is my hesitation with crypto. You find a lot of ideological people. It's like, guys, like, a marginal improvement's a marginal improvement. Like, if you're talking about implementing this technology, no one kind of like, is weird because there's double standards everywhere in crypto. Like, we advocate decentralization, self-custody, and that we have no problem with USDC and USDT, which, by the way, can freeze those coins, brother in Christ. So it's like the brain just can't this double standard. And it's all rooted in ideology. A lot of times it's just, I want to see this technology win. I'm not willing to cut corners on key values and principles that I have, but I do think that a world that has stablecoins, even if it's USDC or USDT, is a better world than a one that does not, because it is a transparent system. And the reason why we're able to crack down on nefarious activity that is happening in any network is because it's open, it's transparent, and it's readable by anyone. And that allows law enforcement to crack down on nefarious activity like insider trading, like money laundering, which, by the way, the traditional system just does not allow you to do. It's opaque. It's a feature. It's not a bug. So I think like it's important to like put that front and center, because there is this Overton window, and I do think crypto's like captured the imagination of this generation. We have to take advantage of that. But there's also a version of this world where it doesn't matter. And I guarantee you, it's not a $3 trillion industry. It's way less than that. We're all, if you think about the terminal value of crypto right now, a lot of it, I would say over 80% of it is like there's a future state where most of the world transacts in stablecoins, where most of the world and family office and endowments and governments like Bitcoin, we're nowhere near that. So there's a whole lot of growth baked into the curve to discount it back to the 2 to 3 trillion that we're worth today. If that doesn't pan out, if growth doesn't show up, we are not going to get, it will not be a rough ride for anyone that is long this industry. So I feel a sense of urgency to be pragmatic without compromising my values. So that's why I started Inversion, to address that pain point, which is I don't think we have 10 years to get to where we want to get. I think we have 5 years, maybe 3 years.
So maybe I'm not understanding this correctly. So you think that if we do execute the way that you think we can, then it does get to the state where people are guessing. But if we don't pull that off, then everything is dramatically overvalued from today's standpoint.
Yeah. Someone asked me when I was starting Inversion in the early days, it's like, why are you doing this? Early stage investing. I'm like, well, first of all, most of the projects that I back all die for the same reason, which is their customer acquisition costs are high and they don't get enough users to pay attention to their technology. So building distribution is really, really hard. Capturing attention in this world where Uber connected is so hard. So I want to buy distribution because I do think that if we inject the business with stablecoins, it could be made more efficient. I do think that if we can bring credit on chain, it could be an interesting opportunity to lower the cost of capital for businesses. And then it got super heated. One of the most like widely recognizable people in crypto. And he's like, actually pivoting to AI. I only believe in hype. I was like, oh, fine. Like, you know, all this meme coin stuff makes no sense. I said, I don't disagree with you. I mean, people like trading meme coins. I don't, but you know, I think we can do better things with this technology. I said, listen, I'm starting Inversion because if I can't buy a business and make it vastly more efficient with crypto, I will sell every single position that I have in this industry. And I want to know that before you. And he got, and when I dropped that, he was like, he just looked at me and said, fuck you. But it's true. You know, I think this is the thing that, for better or for worse, I think if in the next 5 years we don't get more real world adoption, I don't think we're going to be able to blame the regulators. Even if clarity doesn't pass, like Genius passed, that's good enough. We will, before we could blame a whole bunch of people and build a plane while it was in flight. Now I think it's on us to deliver, candidly. Now there's like, I don't want to be like I don't think that I'm sounding the alarm here of like, if we don't do this now, there's like a lot of progress going on, like stablecoins. That's like a primary metric. Like it's up and to the right. There's a lot of businesses using them. There's, you know, as I said before, like Stripe and a whole consortium behind that. There's Visa, MasterCard. Like this will happen. I think the probability of crypto fading into irrelevance is less and less, like, you know, certainly way less than what it was like 5 years ago, way less than what it was 10 years ago. But it's more of a question of how big the industry is, right? That's what I'm arguing here. It's like, is it 2 trillion? Is it 5? Is it 10? I think we need a long road ahead of us to justify valuations because there's only 70,000 active users on chain and we're worth $1.5 trillion, excluding Bitcoin. ChatGPT is maybe worth $1 trillion and has like 1 billion users. So like ultimately you measure businesses and what's working by, are there active users and what are they doing? And are they doing repeatable activity that drives value to a business or a network? And we got a long room to grow.
So where do you think the biggest opportunities are to actually get these users into crypto?
So like, look, I mean, you have Tether, you have like Binance is one of the largest fintechs in the world. You know, Coinbase is massive. So like their exchanges have done a really good job of, you know, acquiring users and serving them products like perpetual products, which are very novel financial instruments that I think hyperliquid has obviously become really interesting, especially as of late, right? Where people are now trading with HIP-3 commodities and, you know, oil over the weekend. Again, who would have thought that people wanted to be able to trade 24/7, 365? You have Vegas, but markets close at 4:30 in New York. Probably seems like there's a gap there, right? So I think I'm encouraged by that. So I guess the question is like, where do I see more of the growth coming? I think there's some interesting signals like creator marketplaces. I think the Tether just invested in WAP. They're doing a lot of payouts to creators with stablecoins.
Mhm.
Wow.
Once someone gets paid in stablecoins, then they'll more likely be able to spend stablecoins with like a Rain back card or someone else, right? And so you close the loop of like using crypto because for a long time it was like, how are you going to get crypto in the hands of people? Like, and how are you going to get like stable coins in the hands of your local Main Street merchant? That's always been the cold start problem to a lot of these things. But when you receive, Ben, if you and I are doing a transaction, you show me a QR code, I send you stables. Now, I have to have stables in the first place. But if I get paid in stable coins because I'm a creator selling on eBay or WAP, then I can send you the stable. And and then you're like, oh, okay, what can I do this? And you're like, oh, look, you can actually. So there are network effects that I think are going to happen, and encouragingly, more and more consumer businesses are starting to, allow payout in stable coins, and a lot of times it was like, who's going to accept Bitcoin as payment? I think again, going back to your initial question, that's not going to happen as much.
Mhm.
What will happen is businesses just accept dollars, and they don't care if it's a stable coin or
It's no different.
whoever, as long as they get paid. So that's a key insight and unlock that's happening. It's real, and it's only going to continue to grow. So that I think has interesting network effects.
So do you think that the growth largely comes from Web2 adopting Web3 or Web3 companies that are Web3 first building new experiences that actually pull people in?
Um, Say that again. So the question is digitally native experiences or legacy ones that just are orchestrated by stablecoin.
Yeah, so my thing is, I think that what you're saying happens. I'm just curious if you had to guess. Do you think it's more like what you're doing, where you're going into an existing business and incorporating the tech into it, or do you think it'll come from the tech first business that builds something new that people can't get elsewhere?
I mean, hard to say. I wish both are equally successful. I think so. My mental framework is crypto is pretty transformational technology. So like, and it requires you learning how to manage a seed phrase, a wallet. It's not as easy as chat, right? Chat or
Very
Claude, right?
true.
People, why did the usage of chat went up parabolic? Because it feels like Google search. It's a prompt, like you're asking. It's very native to most people in the world, so it doesn't require. Yeah, it requires you to download it, um, but it's very native interface that people are just so trained on. Crypto, on the other hand, touches on two things that humans don't like. One, new skill. Humans are lazy. Second, it touches money. People don't change bank accounts on the fly. Never have,
No.
never will, as much as a wallet. So people, money's like a uncomfortable topic for people. Many times we obsess about money and figuring out how to like address the hierarchy of needs, but you don't like to think about it in the sense of what is required for you to get behind crypto, which is go create an account on Coinbase and figure it out. And it's stressful and security, and then you learn the hard way. You get it's the stakes are pretty high. It's not like you can call a 1-800 number to figure it out. The customer support service at Coinbase is not particularly good. So again, it will continue to happen both ways. I'm more encouraged, and certainly I'm focused. So look, I'm biased, right? I'm not here to be a salesman. I'm dedicating my time and career on this because I think I wouldn't be said differently. I wouldn't be doing Inversion if I didn't think the greatest opportunity in crypto right now is to fix distribution. And the way to do that is to acquire distribution, not build it from scratch.
Makes a ton of sense. Even I have a good friend of mine who's doing this in AI, right? Just buying up older legacy businesses, cash flowing, doing well, just implement AI, make it more efficient, increase the EBITDA and sell it or keep rolling up new companies.
You want to position yourself. So I'm very long technology compressing costs. So like the curve of technology, sending an email, data costs, token pricing, stablecoin transfers, right? That curve, if technology works, is very like the half life of that. It's like decaying, right? The more venture dollars get behind a particular idea, and the more technology advances, the curve looks like super decaying, right? And I think that's played out in crypto, it's played out in computing, it's played out in the internet, it's played out in early days in the internet and software. I think that benefits businesses that can adopt that technology and layer it into their operations to cut costs. Like technology is a good technology allows you to cut costs in whatever workflow. And I think crypto is really good at that. Crypto is a really good cost cutting technology to move money to um, primarily to move money. And so from that standpoint, I'm more excited about businesses that are left for dead in the same way that like AI allows you to do that, right? Everyone's trying to find the next photonics trade or the next like whatever venture backed startup. It's exciting. Like it feels like you feel alive when you're doing venture. And it kind of is deeply boring and sexy. Now that's what I'm focused on. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. But I think to me the challenge of making a business more efficient, cutting costs, like I always want to understand, can I cut costs in this business? And if that's true, immediately I feel good about that because you build more margin of safety and you're positioned in a way where I actually don't feel okay. Like, so now we have like how many stablecoin issuers? Like 20 of them. They're all trying to compete against Tether and Circle. And then you have so many DeFi protocols that are trying to compete against Aave and others. And then you have Hype, and then everyone is trying to build the next Hype. And then you have prediction markets. I've seen 100 pitches for the next Poly market. And venture dollars get behind that. So I'm actually quite uneasy on where all of this shakeout is going to happen. Like, who's going to be the best? Is it Claude? Is it Chat? Every week, Claude Anthropic ships a new feature that kills like 20 startups. But what I can tell you is, if you're a business and you're using Claude or OpenAI, you're tremendously excited when you see the next product release because you're like, oh shit, now we can do marketing, or now we can do design, and we don't have to use Figma, or we don't have to use. So that the ultimate benefactors of technology are the end customers. Like the end customer, think about it this way: you're living a life that not even the wealthiest person alive 50 years ago could have had, irrespective of your income for the most part. If you're making, you know, it's kind of crazy. Go back another 100 years, 200 years, like the amount of advances in medicine and technology and the internet and connectivity and travel, like it's well, travel has kind of gone backwards over the last 20 years. But anyways, you know what I mean? Like it's remarkable. It's called consumer preference. So consumer surplus, like not to get too nerdy on the economic, but that's the name of the term. It's consumer surplus. Technology creates a ton of consumer surplus. And I think I'm able to capture it if I own the business and has trust, because trust is actually quite hard to build over time. Right? People trust legacy financial institutions, not because they're great, it's just because, you know, their parents banked with JP Morgan, and, you know, so they're going to work with JP Morgan or Bank of America or Wells Fargo because they're there. You know, you see them, whether consciously or subconsciously, you're very much influenced. Crypto doesn't have that trust. I'd rather latch onto existing trust to deploy stablecoins. And by the way, the end customer, the exciting part of it is that technology is sufficiently advanced that we can make crypto invisible. Like that's something that we think about internally, is that we should never require the end customer to learn anything new to get more value out of what they're currently using.
So a lot of people are holding like ETH, let's say Solana, things of that nature. For the world that you see coming, do you see the value coming to like the underlying asset of something like ETH Solana, or do you think it'll go more directly to other things?
You know, on a relative proportion, of course, if we grow users 100x, everyone wins. But on I think the more nuanced question is on what proportion. I think the vast majority of value will be captured higher up the stack. So applications, you're already seeing that today. Like the biggest profit makers in crypto have been exchanges, and within exchanges is perp. So of course, Hype I wouldn't characterize as like a layer one. I think it's an application specific. It's an app in my mind. Of course, it has, you could treat it like an L1, but it serves a very key purpose, which is perps, and perps are money makers. So I think it's just going to flow upstream applications and user aggregation. Like user aggregation theories is something that I believe in, which is if you control the user relationship, or if you control the user with the relationship with the end user, you're in a better position to monetize them. Apple serves you a device, but they make a lot of money in the App Store because they control who, and they take a cut. Netflix owns a customer relationship and then, brokers different deals with content to serve you that. Social media too, right? Google too. So there's obviously moats are not created equal, but historically, and I think going forward, it will continue to be true that if you have a good relationship with a customer and you own that, you're in a better position to monetize.
So we had a question here about adoption. So Matthew asked, what would the turning point in adoption level to where you'd say, wow, this is mainstream? What would the catalyst be?
I have asked this question I've wondered about this. Like, at what point during the evolution of the internet, if you grew up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, did you think, oh gosh, this is mainstream?
Mm-hmm.
It's so obvious now, of course, but I don't think it felt like obvious in the moment. And I've gone back and interviewed people. There's a great book called How the Internet Happened that talks about this to some extent. I don't think it ever will feel mainstream until, I don't know, until we stop talking about crypto. Actually, it's like in the internet days, you talked about this is an internet business and this is a non-internet business, right? And did like .com to their business name, legal name, pets.com, and a whole other businesses. And then we stopped talking about the internet. It's like every business uses the internet. And I think the same will be true for crypto, which is we will stop making a delineation between what is a crypto and a non-crypto business. It's like every business just uses stablecoins. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, it's almost dumb not to.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you go mainstream, right? And it's relatable. Right now, here's another way I think about it. When you make a decision to buy a piece of software, do you, like, say Amazon or Google, you're trying to spin up a server, do you look at the price of Amazon or Google stock to make a decision on which product you buy?
No.
Right, exactly. I don't, yeah. Right now, crypto is not there, right? We're making a judgment on the value of the technology based on the price of the token. That is a hallmark of early stage. It's nonsensical, right? So I think, like, as we grow more mainstream and business applications grow, it just becomes less. The token is like a stock price. It's like it's irrelevant. Businesses don't make decisions based on the value of the token or the stock price, right? So I think that's the like we'll know we've crossed into mainstream land when businesses don't talk about blockchain or tokenization or stablecoins. It's like that's just a new operating system. And we don't make that distinction as we do it today. And it's like we drop these terms.
Makes total sense to me.
Santiago, I wanted to ask you, it's from this conversation, I think some people would walk away thinking that you are not a Bitcoin maximalist. And they would also have some other questions about what you think of other projects. And in particular, we have a pretty nice sized Ripple and XRP audience. Santiago, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on Ripple and what they're attempting to accomplish with XRP?
What they pulled off is a case study and deserves to be studied of marketing. Again, the best technology doesn't necessarily win. VHS Betamax, the MP3 standard. I'll hand it off to them. I mean, my God, it's just Tron too. I mean, Tron has done a go-to-market that no other project in crypto. Like, I mean, Ripple doesn't get enough cred, but I'll tell you, it all goes down to, can you capture attention? And they have, better than any other project other than Bitcoin in terms of brand. You walk around the street, you ask people, what is the future of finance? And they'll not tell you Solana or Ethereum, they'll tell you Ripple. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And so you meme it into existence. I also think that they are very smart in using their treasury to acquire real businesses. Like they've done 3 acquisitions or more last year. Amen. That's what you should be doing. Everyone should go study AOL and Time Warner. AOL at its peak was valued at a price where they sufficiently recognized that they had to do something with that stock of currency, or currency of stock, and then went out and buy real business. And I think Ripple has done interesting investments to grow into what they want to eventually become. It's smart of them, right? They're using their currency to go buy real businesses, right? Super smart. I guess you learn the good or the bad way never to discount Brad and team. They're smart. They're smart. And they're smart now, appreciating that they have an opportunity to go buy real businesses. And this, again, this goes back to a key point that I made earlier, which is ideology gets you so far. Business savagery and common sense and practicality eventually is required to win in a very competitive. Like investing is extremely competitive. Business building is extremely competitive. Go look at the composition of the S&P. Most businesses die within 60 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to die at some point. You best, it's like the Andrew Grove. What is Andrew Grove? Like, only the paranoid survive. Do you think that Ethereum community is paranoid? They've gone there. You know what I mean? Like, they're just the roll-up centric roadmap was value destructive to the L1. Bitcoin not doing quantum upgrade or like deliberating and pontificating what Satoshi would have wanted is a mistake. Projects that are not practical, not using their treasury is a mistake. And not addressing the elephant in the room, which is you can't build a $350 billion business off of meme coin trading as much as it is profitable. It's not enough. And I think a lot of people in crypto are too ideological, but there's a lot of double standard. I mean, like there's favoritism within the Ethereum community. Don't tell me there isn't, because you haven't lived enough to understand that. And so I think, but they're not practical. They're pontificating about 20-year roadmaps. It's like, what are you going to do in the next year to make sure that you don't get your users going to hype? Like, it's all open source. Let's not forget, people can copy your shit and leave. Like these moats in open source systems, it's certainly for Linux, but not for crypto. Like, liquidity is there, but it can move around very, very quickly. So again, I'm not advertising XRP. I'm just saying I do think that they have done very interesting things, especially as of late, to use their currency to acquire Hidden Road and acquire a number of other businesses that could actually get them to a point where they become sort of a dominant player in the world of finance, not crypto.
Very interesting. And when you do think about it from the perspective of Ripple going out and acquiring these companies, it's not too different from the model that you have, just minus having their own currency. Right?
Go read history. Lords of Finance. Go look at the evolution of Wall Street and JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Lazard. It is a dogfight. Like, people don't cede monopolies or their market share without a really good fight. And a lot of people out here, you'll hear them say, oh, decentralization and the Nakamoto consensus. And it's like, dude, you're just seeing Stripe build tempo. And of course, they're going to say that they're Ethereum aligned. Of course, they're going to say they're not competing against Ethereum. You are fooling yourself if you don't think that's the case. All the L2s were Ethereum aligned. Yeah. Where are the fees accruing? Right. In the sequencer. Okay. How much value are trickling down to the L1? Right. Okay. Of course, you're going to say you're Ethereum aligned because you're extracting all the value out of it. Like, that's where, they're asleep at the wheel. Ethereum has been, now you see some activity now, but they're asleep at the wheel. They have been for a while. Solana was asleep at the wheel with perps and gave way to Hyperliquid. It's super competitive, right? And then you have the pressure from you know, traditional financial institutions saying, "Gosh, this is a very interesting market. There's a lot of fees to be made." It's super competitive. You have to have a savage. When I invest in a founder, I need to understand: is this guy, if they're pinned against the wall, are they gonna be like crazy raccoon to get out of that rut and go through a fucking wall and make it a success? Because it is hard, right? And I'm not saying that you have to be a jerk or an asshole to be successful in business, but you have to be like, savage is the word that I've always used. And it's not to say that you compromise or do anything unethical. It's just you have to be smart about how you win, and it's tough.
Yeah, when winning's an option, it usually ends up that you lose, right? So it's got to be someone who just won't take that. So I totally get that. Do you have out of all the layer ones out there, is there any that you're a fan of?
So I mean, Hyperliquid's really interesting. It's just the technical prowess of Jeff and team. Solana obviously has done really interesting stuff. I mean, what they've been able to accomplish with meme coin trading is directly translatable to, okay, it's like the analogy would be like porn was pretty interesting technology for video compression and making broadband and all that stuff. I think meme coins are the equivalent. So Solana use meme coins as a testing ground for, what is Tolly's vision of Nasdaq on the blockchain. We'll see if the go-to-market is enough. I think Avalanche. I mean, I selected Avalanche to build Inversion when we launch our L1, because it's like software. It's out of the box. So I don't want to overly engineer, the new blockchain. Certainly, like I've invested in Monad. I've invested in a number of other L1s, L2s out there, which are interesting in their own right. For me, in what I needed, it's like something out of the box, right? And Avalanche provided that for me, and with sufficient guarantees. So I find that interesting too. It's like there's a whole set of businesses that want to have their own custom private environments, and so hey, look, the Avalanche provides that. It's kind of like a better version of what Cosmos' original vision. The way I think about it is like, but enterprise grade and ready with a great BD team behind it. They were super and have been super helpful, which matters, right? At some point, like it's a business development game. Like, who are you going to call, Vitalik or 1-800 Ethereum? Like, good luck. But Avalanche provides, and like business development and centralized product development, it becomes extremely important. That's something that Solana has, that Polygon has had to some success, that Hyperliquid did a phenomenal, really smart RFP to select their native stablecoin. So I think that BD muscle, I think I'm excited when I see like teams do that. Ripple, of course, we've talked about. Tron, and USDT. Like, I don't think there's the takeaway from here is there's not a winner take all in terms of blockchains. It's a very competitive game. So precisely why more value will accrue to applications sitting on top. Layer 0 just launched Zero, which is, look, I'm an investor there, but very interesting new consensus. Like from a scalability efficiency standpoint, quite fascinating. I before that, you would have heard me say like a lot of the innovation is kind of like not 0 to 1. Like Solana was 0 to 1 to Ethereum because you had this monolithic architecture that like gave you way more throughput, and people need to wrap their heads around like the higher hardware capex requirements. But like, look, as soon as it started working, like it was really interesting. And now, I've invested in Monad and I've invested in other but I wouldn't characterize them as like 0 to 1, but layer 0 is as close of a 0 to 1 as I've seen after like these high throughput blockchains. I have not mentioned Cardano. I do not know anything about Cardano. I'm seeing some comments there, so I'll defer. I'll skip that one because it's out of my. I just haven't. Yeah, I got to drop soon, guys. But
yeah, no worries. Go ahead, Keith.
No, thanks for the time. I was seeing somebody also was like, I think Gray Box was like top 3 besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Hype, and or
It's like, how far down we going?
No, I mean, like I'm super biased. Like you got to remember, I'm very biased. Like none of this is like a recommendation, right? I mean, I have investments in a lot of different projects. People ask me, "What's your favorite?" They're all doing interesting, relevant stuff. But look, I don't mean to come in here talk and be cynical. I'm skeptical for sure.
I think
And
it's fair to
I
be.
think healthy skepticism is required to get, to instill a sense of urgency and savagery to, because I love this technology. I think it could be hugely impactful. Going back to why I became interested in it, I do think that there's a whole unmet demand that crypto can fill. Stablecoins, tokenization, make financial system much, much more efficient and allows you to serve a different demographic user base that historically has not been served. But we have a lot of room to grow, and it's not a done deal. There are different timelines and trajectories, and hopefully coming in here, it's like, look, I'm not a trader, guys. Like I'm not going to give you like what the is oil going to be 140 or 90 tomorrow? Like who knows, right? Um, but use public markets, and I think I'll leave you with this. You always want to understand if you have an edge, and if you can produce repeatable alpha, which is sort of a meme, but I think there is incredible amount of edge in having a longer term horizon than most, especially now where people are just very short term minded, and people understand compounding but don't implement it and so that it works in their favor, because you're rather punt and buy a lottery ticket than have a steady compounder. But if you look at where most of the value has been created is with the steady compounding. And the last thing is just don't do anything that kills you, because if you die with leverage, liquor, or whatever other bucket you want to attach to, you can't be lucky. And there's a lot of luck in this game. Like there is a lot of luck. There's obviously hard work, persistence, apply yourself to reading and staying on top of it and building an edge. But and that overarching element there is you have to have emotional maturity and stability and be in tune with your emotions to understand where you're going to make these fatal mistakes, because everyone can do fatal mistakes. Like even the smartest people do it. Like go read long-term capital management. Like you can blow up probably in many other ways that you haven't really thought through. But it is important to just understand what kills you and then work backwards from there. Hence why I call my company Inversion, because you always want to go where you die and then work backwards from there, so you never go there.
Love it, man. Yeah, that's how I try to think all the time. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. And thank you so much for your time here today. The chat loved it. So we definitely would love to have you on again in the future. Go follow him on all this stuff. It's all linked down below. So go show him some love and show him some support. And you can see his punk by following him on Twitter. So go do that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Ben,
Cheers.
Keith, really appreciate it. Sharp, thank you for lining it up, man. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
Yes,
much.
sir. Thanks for this, man. We appreciate you.
Bye. Take care.
Have a great
guys.
one.
All right.
Bye bye. Cool.
Awesome.
Chat, how you feeling?
What up, chat?
He's a smart dude.
Very. Couple major takeaways for me for sure.
What were they?
One thing that I wanted to touch on throughout that conversation was, he talked a lot about distribution and trust, right? Being some of the things that are a lot harder to acquire today than maybe normal.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the fact that we have attention spans waning, to be able to acquire that next customer and to keep that customer is something that's very difficult.
It's like the whole thing, man.
Totally. And so his whole thesis of also using what he knows well, the private equity space, as a way to use his time in this new world, I think is also very telling as well. We've talked a little bit about this on the show, but like entrepreneurship through acquisition is the term
Mhm.
that people are talking about. And I think it's really, really worth really considering that, because you don't have to then be like this entrepreneur, this founder type
Mhm.
to be successful in this world. You can be someone who understands this technology really well, comes in, acquires a business with some help of investors, with some help from the bank, and just says, look, all you got to do, guys, is just use this technology. Let's implement stablecoins. And all of a sudden you've increased, the profits of a company by 10, 20%, whatever that may be.
It actually can be that simple sometimes. Like that's also what I found so funny is that as someone who's lived through this, trying to get businesses to use social media when they were so dead set against it,
Mm.
any of them that had have said yes would have won crazy disproportionate levels. And it didn't matter how close I was to it. I was telling my dad every single day, start using social media. I was like, ads will never be this cheap. Let me go make organic content for you guys. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. No. Right. So like there can be, when there's tech changes that are like that, that totally transform a situation, it can be that simple. So good for him.
Yeah, and that idea of like there's just it's an arbitrage opportunity of like there's a lack of faith in the technology, lack of understanding of the technology, and you guys are here, you're there seeing this, and this is such an advantage against the incumbents and of all of these other businesses, because essentially what you can do to move the world forward toward the vision that you already see unfolding is to basically force it upon the market by buying these companies and improving them.
Yeah. Great point.
So that was one major thing. And then the other major thing is for me thinking about how to get exposure to the use cases of crypto, how to get exposure to winning. I've talked a little bit about this on my channel, where we're at this weird spot where a lot of companies that are doing stuff are private. Okay. Whether that's in the AI world, also in this blockchain world, in terms of getting the equity to the actual companies. And so the thing that comes to my mind is the stablecoin use case. We've got one publicly traded stablecoin company, I believe that is Circle. Maybe there's more, I don't know. But that's the big one, and they're finally public. The problem that happens when trying to invest in a public company, especially when it IPOs, is that you've got these massive valuations, and what are all the insiders doing? They're dumping, right? So you got to kind of like wait your turn there. I haven't looked at the price of Circle recently, but who else are the other sectors that are going to like for sure benefit from the adoption of cryptocurrencies, or should be stable coins down the line as we continue to see that grow? I would say it'd probably be somewhere in the financial sector, right? Looking at the banking companies. And this was a way that I started investing in crypto and blockchain uh, earlier in my journey as well. Was like, well, what are the companies that are going to benefit from this, and not just the tokens that you're trying to guess upon which layer one. Someone pointed out, why are we trying to pick layer ones when I just go for the infrastructure with the oracles? I saw that comment. So anyways, that's the other thing that I'm continuing to think about. I'll probably make another video about this today. Is like, stop buying crypto, start buying the infrastructure that's going to benefit from crypto and what it will do.
Makes total sense.
But yeah, man. Anything else?
No, chat. Did you want to talk about anything else we discussed? Happy to go down any rabbit hole y'all would like. If not, we can get into the second half and chop it up with some news and then memes.
Yep. I've definitely got some news.
Hit me with the news.
So somebody was pointing this out in the chat earlier as well. Yes, the UAE has decided to leave OPEC and OPEC Plus. Pretty big deal.
So what is OPEC?
Yeah, so OPEC is the petroleum exporting countries, or something like Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which is essentially an organization of the largest oil producing countries in the world, where they come together. It's literally, in terms of economics, a cartel, and they come together to regulate the supply of oil in the markets. And I'm not sure exactly when it came into place. I think it was like the 70s or so, and around the replacement of essentially creating this petrodollar system as well. I believe it played a role in that. Essentially what happens is you have Saudi, okay, this is the big one, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, all these different countries there, the US, simply Canada, whatever. OPEC Plus is the larger organization of all of them. It's kind of like the G7 versus the G20. It's kind of like how you look at OPEC versus OPEC Plus. And so anyways, they come together to regulate how much oil is going to come into the market, how much oil is being produced. And so that obviously has a pretty big impact on the supply of oil and therefore the price of oil. They do this to help basically mitigate having oil spike too high in times of crises, and also to keep oil's prices from getting too low and preventing the industries from continuing to grow. So they typically cap, right? The biggest thing that the OPEC is doing is capping how much oil production is happening, right? Because these countries could produce way more oil because they just can't. They have the capacity to do it. But we're saying, don't do that. You're going to make the price of oil too low. And when the price of oil is too low, then essentially these oil companies and energy companies don't do as well, and kind of has impact on the economy overall as well. But so the UAE is deciding to exit OPEC and OPEC Plus. They're like, look, we're done with this. But I'll read this here. It says, There was key frustration over weak political military support from the Gulf Coast countries, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and Arab states against Iranian attacks and threats. So this is directly tied into the petrodollar concept, right? What did the U.S. do? The U.S. said, look, we're going to come in, we're going to protect you, and because of this, you're going to do trade in U.S. dollars. You're going to sell your oil in U.S. dollars. And this OPEC thing is essentially kind of, in a way, a facilitation of that arrangement. Because when all of the OPEC countries are essentially selling their oil in dollars, it just makes it way easier for you to sell your oil in dollars as well. And you're participating in that same overall system of how oil is being traded around the world. But they're saying, look, we don't want to have to do with that anymore. And also, we don't want you guys having control over how much oil we want to produce. Like, we don't care anymore. So after a 59-year membership, the UAE will no longer be part of the OPEC effective May 1st. Here's how the UAE was contributing to OPEC. They pump roughly 3.2 million barrels a day. That's around 10% of OPEC's total output. But the barrel count isn't the real story. Milk Road says they say the UAE has been quietly furious about OPEC plus production caps for years. In 2021, they nearly blew up the whole alliance, pushing for a higher baseline. This is a big shift for the oil market.
What are your thoughts with that?
I mean, honestly, very interesting. This is a huge moment for the breakdown of the world order in terms of the petrodollar and what this whole ecosystem really stands for. I know it's not directly the petrodollar that's being left here per se, but it's one of the major institutions that plays a role in how that's all implemented. And I mean, you know, if you look back to the earlier conversations from Professor Jang, don't shoot me. He was talking about this, right? Why are these countries going to keep playing the same game if they're not getting the protection that they were promised in the first place? Like, they want to be independent from one another. They want to be able to make their own decisions. They don't want to have to be caught up in being able, because, you know, obviously when these countries, a large part of their GDP is their oil production and oil exports. Why am I having to listen to someone else about how big my economy can grow? Bump that. So,
yeah, it's fascinating for everyone to see how tightly connected everyone's economy is, and also how much of a role energy plays into it, and also like how energy is dictated. It's always been so fascinating to me about how when we were kids we were taught about how like there's such a limited supply, we need to like be very careful, but one thing that always was shocking to me, and I guess it makes sense because they have situations like this where they keep the prices at around a certain number, but like I remember being in high school and the prices for gas are not like up until very recently not that different from when I was in high school from what they are today. And I was always fascinated by that because I was like, I remember being a kid being told how scarce oil was, and I was like, how is that possible then that I'm paying basically the same price 10 years later? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it's been a very fascinating thing to follow because it makes sense that it's this complicated because it governs most of the world.
100%. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to the book Titan about John D. Rockefeller and how far back these practices really do go.
Yeah.
Because they also were back then trying to set the prices of oil.
Yes.
Right, to prevent competition from trying to undercut them and whatnot.
Totally. Yeah. And once you have the whole global economy reliant on that, then whoever controls that system essentially controls the entire world. Like there's also the that movie scene. I can't recall what it's from, but it's that guy in the cowboy hat explaining why they keep the prices of oil at the prices that they do because of the human behavior. I was about to say user behavior. The human behavior off of those price changes. So it's just incredibly fascinating that if we're talking about like free market forces, it's like the psychology of the customer like dictating the free market force. It's kind of funny, right?
Very interesting thought. Absolutely. And yeah, I don't know the name of the movie.
To fight anymore. But if we ran out of oil, a lot of things would stop working unless we got that 0 point energy that they haven't pulled out of the back yet.
If we get that, then we might be all.
You're muted right now. I don't know how that's possible.
Interesting.
Oh, my thing changed, didn't it?
Yeah,
that's what's going on. It just keeps changing my speaker randomly. Bro, it just goes. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I can hear you now.
I really wasn't saying much of anything, man. What up, XRP Tamster? Welcome into the room. We've got some other news. JPEG Store, Cardano's largest NFT marketplace, it's sunsetting. The platform will stay live for the next 30 days. If you have any listings, it's best to remove them. They've been the leading marketplace since 2021. Sad to see them wind down. Kudos to everything they've built.
Yes, this is a big one because for Cardano in particular, because anybody who traded NFTs, I'm sure they've heard of OpenSea for the most part. This was like the equivalent of OpenSea for the Cardano ecosystem. So they got the first movers advantage. They were like the place where people went. We talked about them in our Cardano episode. So for them to shut down, it definitely helps people who are Cardano haters to say it's a dead chain. Cardano's dead. Here's another example of that. And I'm sure there's a degree of merit to that. But as someone who's tried to use their platform, like they were barely operating it anyways. So in my opinion, I actually think this is a good thing because now all the people that just went there because it was the name they knew are now forced to go see other options where there's actually people still building there. So like I actually am like positive about this because there are a few other options that I think the people are a lot more active at the very least, and I think they're pretty competent builders. So I actually think it might end up being a very positive thing because these people are now forced to basically make sure they're not going to lose anything. So they basically migrated over and yeah. So big news. Led to some beef on Twitter, as it always does, like anything in Cardano. But as someone who owns Cardano NFTs, I think this is actually a good thing.
Word up, man. That's a very interesting way of thinking about it, for sure. And yeah, if there's no activity on chain or on the app, if they're not building anything, then probably not too bad.
I had one instance where I was trying to use their service, right? This is JPEG Store, and I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't very user friendly, like most things in crypto. But then I basically I found a bug for them, and I reported it to them. And they're like, "Oh, you have to report it here." And I'm like, "I'm not going to do that." I literally said that in my Twitter message to them. I'm like, "I'm not going to go through your form to help your business. Like, you guys need the system in place where talk to the guy." Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And so when that happened, I'm like, they're probably going under. I had the same sort of feeling when I had a WeWork membership, and then the experience was just so shit. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're probably cooked.
That's interesting right there. Report the bug this way.
Yeah, they're like basically giving me work to help their business. And I'm like, no, dude, like send them a message. I know you know them.
100%. Next piece that I saw or that we had was DeFi United being built over here by Aave, I believe, as an attempt to help coordinate a relief effort following the April 18th RS ETH incident where there was a hack, I believe. And so it looks like they are essentially raising money here to try to get people their funds back from the hack. I'm not sure exactly how this is working. But I'm seeing on the right side panel here, this recovery is a coordinated multi-party effort, independent on technical and governance actions by third parties outside the control of DeFi United, such as KelpDAO reopening RS ETH withdrawals and the Arbitrum Security Council releasing frozen ETH. DeFi United does not control. It makes no representation as to the timing and or success of such actions or the recovery in general. By contributing, you acknowledge and accept the risk associated with participation. So not sure exactly how this is going down here, but clearly Aave, along with some others, are trying to help people recover their funds. And I mean, I guess good thing that they're doing this, but certainly probably not something that scales right over time if you continue to have these types of incidents. So good to see that people care and are trying to make moves to get people their funds back.
Yeah, that's always good. It usually takes a long time. Usually you don't get all that you should have been given, but at least it's something.
Right. Another incident that we saw over the past 48 hours, or actually this was technically on Friday afternoon, an artificial intelligence coding agent powered by Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 deleted a company's entire production database in 9 seconds. The company is called Pocket OS. It is a software platform that powers car rental businesses. The database contained months of customer bookings, vehicle records, and operational data that small rental car companies relied on to run their businesses. When the database was deleted, all of the backups were deleted with it. 3 months of customer reservations evaporated.
That's painful.
Sounds terrible. Comment down here. This guy said, "Please AI, delete our debt and the backups." Thought that was pretty good. But some of the dangers of, I guess, using these platforms at the moment. So
yeah, especially if you're fully reliant on them, right? Like that's
yes.
which a lot of people are doing. So I saw this one tweet from a guy who's in like the consumer app side of Twitter, and he's like, "See, this is why I don't give full access. Like, only I should be able to screw everything up." I'm like, that's awesome.
That's great. That's great. Some more news. Western Union to launch a Solana-based stablecoin next month. Can you believe it?
Very cool.
So, traditional players getting into the game continues to happen. Definitely not much of a surprise. Now, we have also some stuff to react to, Ben. How are you? You ready to react? Are you ready for the memes section?
What about the Elon stuff?
That's all meme stuff. It should be there.
Cool. Yeah, I'm ready.
Cool. So one of the things, I guess, Solana has come back out and dropped another ad. I actually haven't seen this at all.
Oh, their last one, they got people pissed, right?
Right. And I mean, this kind of looks like the same thing.
The same sort of filming style for sure.
Okay. Well, let's check out what they've done here. Last time they did this, I forgot what was it, Super Bowl?
I can't recall. Around that time, I think that it was.
It came out and people were going crazy. Right.
People were so pissed. Yeah. People get mad about everything. But yeah, I think it was pretty. I think they tried to piss people off.
Right. They were trying to get that viral situation. So let's see what they said.
So, America, what's going on?
Well, lately, I've been having thoughts again.
Can you please stop having thoughts? Last time you had thoughts, you almost took Solana down. Anatoly had to tweet, "I am ashamed."
It wasn't that bad.
Dude, you were Kobe's PFP for 3 months. It got so bad they can't even afford the actual actors. We're AI generated. None of this exists, much like Mert's hairline.
But hear me out.
No. Can you just talk about Accelerate and get it done with?
Okay, fine. Solana Accelerate is back again this year in Miami. Thousands of attendees, numerous speakers from FinTech, Wall Street, and Capitol Hill, and zero controversies.
Okay.
It's at the end. You gotta keep it, let it play. The best part's at the end.
Can we at least talk about genders?
Just shut the fuck up.
Because that's what got them in trouble, was talking about like all the gender stuff.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Thanks for the save there, Sharp. Cool. So interesting there. They've come back with that. Was it AI the first time? Because I didn't.
I don't think so. I think it was real actors. Yeah. I believe so. But this one was obviously AI, and you could tell that it was AI. But AI is getting pretty dang good, man.
Right.
Especially because the problem is that I don't know if an AI will ever be as good as something that's really good. But most people aren't really good. Do you know what I mean?
True.
In every field, right? Like, is AI going to be like worse than a shitty actor? Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Next thing to react to here, the controversy between Elon Musk and Sam Altman continues.
Big drama. For someone as busy as Elon is, like he finds the time, man.
He finds the time. He's got time today.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So April 27th in the morning yesterday, OpenAI Newsroom said, "We can't wait to make our case in court where both the truth and the law are on our side. This lawsuit has always been a baseless and jealous bid to derail a competitor who will also finally have the chance to question Mr. Musk under oath before a jury of Californians about this attempt to undermine our work to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity." Community Note said, federal judge ruling said ample evidence of Musk's claims and case has proceeded to jury trial on breach of charitable trust and unjust enrichment. Musk co-founded OpenAI as a nonprofit and donated over $44 million with understanding it would remain mission aligned and benefit humanity. So
It's a cheat code having Twitter, man.
yeah, okay, that's your laugh, is because this is his platform.
Yeah.
So of course he gets the community note.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, either way, it's like that's just so funny. Yeah, I'm so curious to see how this plays out. I hope it's public in terms of we get updates and stuff like that. Besides just the final ruling, man. Imagine
we
if
want
they
the
had,
live update into the newsroom.
I want the broadcast like they had with those other famous trials, you know?
Right. This would definitely get the ratings up.
Oh, it would go crazy on Twitter, man.
So main thing, OpenAI was started as a nonprofit. Elon Musk gave them a lot of money. Once again, under the guise of a nonprofit, they took the company private. Now it's for profit. Excuse me, they took it for profit, and now it's for profit. So Elon Musk calling out Scam Altman here on Twitter. So that is that, and I guess they're about to get this settled in court.
Love it. That'll be fun. We'll keep you updated.
Yep. And so so that's the final pieces. They are finally about to head to court. And Elon Musk, I mean, as the richest man in the world, spends a nice amount of time in court, no doubt. All right. So next pieces. So over the weekend, we had this crazy thing happen where the president of the United States apparently had another attempt at his life. The crazy thing is, like, no one's going for it. And I think that's a crazy thing to see happen. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But third assassination attempt on President Trump. Multiple shots were fired at 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner. Secret Service rushed President Trump off the stage as attendees ducked under tables and chaos unfolded. The shooter was neutralized and confirmed dead on the scene, which this was at that time what people were saying, which was simply not the case. The shooter was, I believe, injured in some way, but was totally fine.
Wait, they didn't. The shooter's fine.
The shooter's fine.
I thought they shot him. He's fine.
Maybe he's shot, but I don't think so. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he was shot at all, which says a whole lot about the situation.
That's super. Yeah. What? I feel like at that moment he'd be getting blown up if that was like real. I feel like. But Lawrence says, if you guys can't prove the moon landing, why do you give Elon credit for actually owning these companies? I don't think anyone gave him credit. We're saying the optics are that he's running this many businesses, right? So no one knows what's going on. But I hear what you're saying.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. That's an interesting thought, because I definitely, once he bought Twitter and was tweeting all the time, I'm like, dude, like,
how do you have this much time?
There's no way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that believe that a lot of these Silicon Valley guys are just like actors too, right? Like the people that run these businesses, they were placed there as well. And so they're essentially like what politicians are, but for this use case.
I mean, when you really think about the job of a CEO, it's like, technically they have to make decisions, but they spend a lot of time talking to people, right? They are a politician of the company. Classic example for me is Brad Garlinghouse himself. Like I look at Brad Garlinghouse, and when you see what he's like, the role that he plays in the crypto space, it's like, dude's like, first off, went to Yale. Okay.
Wow.
Like early Yahoo exec, like dude's kind of like in the club, you know what I mean? And he just fits that perfectly. Even his name, the whole look. Like, I'm like, this guy's like a politician.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around, I know. But the whole Trump thing was super, super fascinating. Yeah. What else you got? This is Caroline Levitt, right?
Yeah, Caroline Levitt before the dinner said this.
It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should...
It feels like AI, bro. That laugh was crazy.
I love
it. Yeah. So that was something that occurred right before the dinner. She said that. And I mean, obviously there were shots fired, let me tell you. But maybe
man, I feel like if someone's running in with a gun, man, if that, like, I don't know. I just feel like that they get lit up. If that was
come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. All the way lit up. Get out of here, man.
Bro, they shoot for a lot less.
That's what I'm saying. Like, And he shot at a Secret Service agent. Like, it wasn't even like he actually shot at anybody else. Like, he shot at the guys with the guns. You know what I mean?
If someone says no relation, I hope, I'm assuming, to the Caroline Levitt thing.
Yeah.
There's no relation. I don't even think Levitt's her last name. I believe she got that through marriage.
That makes so much sense.
Is my understanding.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay. I thought he was saying no. Her comments were no relation to the incidents, but you're saying no relation to you.
Yeah. I could have misread that, but that's how I'm interpreting it.
That makes sense. So during all of this debacle, this lady here, I think she's like a political analyst or whatever, she posted this picture. Shooter at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Shooter is dead. Thank you, Secret Service. First off, the shooter was not dead. There's another tweet that was like, all these people that are, this is a dinner for reporters, and nobody got the story straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
But also just like this lady posting this picture is insane.
Yeah, it looks, the whole thing is also funny. Like Dana White, he's like, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, we are in a simulation, man. All these characters that we see across TV, podcasts, and stuff like that, they're all there now. They're part of this. Like, it does feel very coordinated and planned. And like, there's just a character for each kind of person that would be watching this. You know what I mean? And there was the magician guy doing the thing at the time. And he's now tied into the main story because of him guessing Joe Rogan's pin pad and crap like that.
Because he just came up recently.
Yeah, he's been popping up on like all the podcasts through doing this stuff. And then I actually recently watched this guy who did this super long video trying to expose him. It was absurdly long. It might have been the longest video I've ever watched on YouTube. But it was interesting at the very least.
I started watching some of that. I definitely know.
Dude, it was like 5 hours
Yeah,
or something like
like,
that.
like it's not that
I cranked that up to 3, bro. I was like, okay, let's go.
So immediately after this happened, Trump comes out and makes this statement about how this is exactly why we need the ballroom.
But this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150.
So a little bit of the extra context around that is that Trump has been trying to build a $344 million or whatever, $300 million ballroom in the East Wing or whatever of the White House, which, by the way, historically has a bunker underneath it. And so this new development is supposed to be essentially a new renovation of the bunker. And so it's being designed by a guy who literally redesigned the Pentagon after it was attacked on 9/11 and so on and so forth. Shout out to the Dre dossier. She's awesome for like putting that whole story together about like, are they building a data center under there as well? There's been like some other speculation about like the third temple being built under there. I don't know anything about all of that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that stuff going on too. People saying that.
But yeah, somebody said drone proof. LOL. Yeah, like crazy statement. But that is a part of what they're trying to do with this ballroom bunker thing that they're building out. And so anyway, so apparently, so he was like, look, this is all being done by private donors. This is another big thing. So this is why the data center question came up, because it's like Amazon, Google, like all these tech companies that are donating to be able to have Trump build this ballroom. And what I think happened was that like somehow it was kind of being blocked from a legal perspective. He's not allowed to just do that for some reason. And so then this happens. To try to get some extra potential support for why he needs to have this ballroom. So that's kind of like the theories of what is going on at the moment. And then there's this funny meme about the situation where it's like nobody but the president after another attempt. He's like, I need a ballroom. And then let's see here. So yeah, so this is this lady fully laying the situation out. Yeah, and then also Robbie J. Davis says, what happened to all the private donations? Yeah, because on top of that, like now they're trying to get Congress to spend on it. Or one guy in Congress is like, oh, we need to get a bill approved so we can spend on this. And it was like, brother, like it's supposed to be funded privately.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the big tech companies donated to that, didn't they?
Correct. So I don't know what the situation is. It's kind of hard to follow in terms of all that. But so this lady, Caroline Stout, I believe she came out and said, so here's the facts. Judge rules Trump cannot build ballroom for non-security reasons without congressional approval. Trump attends the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the first time as the president of the United States. By the way, I forgot to mention that all of the first 4 years he was in office, he never went. He didn't go last year, and this year he's there. Caroline Levitt says shots will be fired in pre-dinner interview, and then Gunman somehow gets major weapon in the building. He had apparently a pistol and a shotgun, and through security, shots are fired, and then is taken into custody. Trump immediately holds press conference and says, "This is why we need a ballroom."
Honestly,
crazy.
It's. I hate opening up my phone to any of these apps anymore, man. There's always something.
Man, so, anyways, crazy stuff. At this point, people are just like, "Bro, like, can y'all try a little bit harder? Like, what are we doing here?"
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on.
But moving forward, we had some people. The Bitcoin conference, Las Vegas, is happening this week, and Heidi, she said, "Are these the people you want shaping Bitcoin's future?" These are some speakers at the conference. You had the FBI director, the acting attorney general, the SEC chair, the CFTC chair. Bitcoin was literally invented to route around these people. Now they're keynote speakers. So fascinating.
Yeah, it really does feel like that at this point. Jack Dorsey, why is he the only one without a title? Didn't everyone else have something else underneath their name?
Yeah, it does look like that.
Yeah,
he's an interesting guy too. So people, there was another one where they like blanked out everyone's face, but those two at the top, because there's only two Bitcoin people. But even then, it's like, at least for Michael Saylor, I mean, he's kind of like representing Wall Street anyways, you know?
Oh, at this point, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's got to reach that point. And there's some quotes that people were clipping up from him today too, that I saw circulating around the Twitter.
Let me try to pull this one up. Okay, so this other tweet someone had about this particular picture was, this guy said, as a Bitcoiner of 10 years, I effing despise what Bitcoin conference has become. Y'all literally invited the feds. So that was pretty funny. And then
that does seem like pretty messed up. That's what I was thinking. Like that's who I was thinking in particular. I thought like Kash Patel going seems very strange to me.
Super strange, man. Super duper strange. Speaking of federal agencies, one of the things that has also transpired over the past 48-ish, whatever it is, hours, is Trump talking about renaming ICE to NICE.
Hadn't they talked about this before?
I hadn't heard it, but I wouldn't be surprised, man.
I think I recall here. Maybe okay. This is back in March.
Oh, okay. Maybe that is what it is. Yeah, that was from 325, and I think he just maybe quote tweeted it or whatever.
Yeah, that might be
repeating it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
But that would be pretty insane. I don't think people would do it. They just say like the agency formerly known as ICE, right?
Yeah,
or whatever.
So apparently they put out this whole not their little piece about that, but yeah, crazy thing to try to do there. Not sure what they're actually gonna get out of that. Let's see, what's another piece here? Oh yeah, another funky thing about the whole Trump shooter situation. Like it's getting pretty weird. There's like essentially guys kind of pointing to the fact that maybe there's like a time traveler.
Oh, yeah. I did hear that whole thing
taking place.
It's stuck on X screen though.
Yeah, here we go. So this guy, so he said, this is getting so weird. This account posted the name of the shooter in 2023. The header of the account is the image on the left. It's from a website called Time Machine. If you look close, it looks a lot like the image on the right. WTF. And there's like this guy, I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick, that like takes the image and like puts the opacity up and down so you can see it directly. But I don't know that I have that on deck, unfortunately. But there's some weird stuff where technically you could. Oh, here it is. I found it. So you can see him kind of changing the opacity up and down.
You could do that with most things on something like that, man.
No, but I mean, when you look at that other image, it's there.
Yeah.
Just that top part of his face and his hand up, it's there.
Yeah, but if it looks like they pulled the image and it's on an angle too, right? Like the pull tab in the bottom right, right? So like they would have had to angle it to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical of a lot of these things. But then yeah, the guy's name was Cole something who tweeted it in 2023 apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are saying this is some time travel going on.
Yeah. There was yeah, and there's like the Barron Trump thing from like the book and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around this stuff. If you are into conspiracy theories, you're having a field day right now.
Totally. Another thing that happened in the culture.
I've been hearing this too. How are you now? I've been seeing that circulating a lot too. That like why things have been getting so weird is because they used to be able to control or foresee the future, so they could basically manipulate it, and then that stopped working in around like 2012 or something like that. And so now they're panicking frantically to try to maintain the control over the system, because we're gonna win or whatever. But I'm hopeful of that.
That's some crazy thoughts. I mean, I remember the movie 2012 coming out, right? And that was like the end of the world or whatever. And I mean, I would say since 2020, dude, things have been super weird.
Strange. It's every day is so exhausting. Like it's just so strange. And I think the saddest part for me has been watching how like the people that I knew before those moments like died in those moments. Right? Like it's not obviously they're here. I'm not saying they passed away, but they're not the same people. And I mean like radically different, right? I recall because I always anchor myself in memories and in moments, and so I think about how I felt and how the people were at the time, and it's just so dramatically different. And a lot of it has to do with the power of media and how people were so ridden with propaganda on these platforms. So yeah, it's sad, man. But I do say this too, that if that is the case, things can get great just as fast as they got messed up too. Because people are not as committed to these opinions. Like everyone who has someone like, oh, how could you think like that? Promise you they're not as committed as you think they are. They just really think they have to be from a series of decisions that they went through.
Super fair, man. I always appreciate the optimistic look.
We'll be fine.
Quick piece here. $100,000 in Ethereum invested 5 years ago is worth $85,000 today.
Yeah, tough look.
$100,000 invested in NVIDIA 5 years ago is worth $1.4 million today. Unfortunate. Any thoughts there?
It's a tough look. I really hope that for all my fellow crypto people that better days are ahead. And I personally do think they are. And yeah, we're going to see. We're going to learn today.
Love it. This was a really cool thing that happened. X, this guy, Dogan Ural, said, X is one tab away from YouTube. Just launch a separate videos tab like this. Oops, it's not going to let me zoom in. That sucks. And yeah, so X tweaks out on me. I don't know if anyone else ever has this problem, but I'm having to use an incognito tab to get these up because what happens is that black screen that you were seeing.
Interesting.
Like it just does that to me sometimes.
You're stuck on that?
Yeah.
Like, wow, I've never had that.
So I have to use the incognito tab. And because of that, I can't see the response that Nikita Beer.
Because you're not signed in.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
I think he just said something like, yeah, let's do it or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that guy should get some I don't know, some free X money or something.
Some dineros.
Yeah, because I mean, it's actually a really solid concept.
Yeah,
and it completely transforms how Twitter gets used.
and they also had, I don't know if that was on here, but they announced a big change to their live streaming compensation model, which could be good news for us. We'll see. If you guys haven't followed us on Twitter yet, if you do use that platform, go check it out. It's linked down below. We're just memes and markets over there, I think. So go find us, go follow. We also are streaming there too.
Yes, sir. We are always live on the Twitter.
And we'll be posting, we'll talk about that later in the call to actions, but continue on.
Cool. So crypto, from Zach Vole here, he did some data analysis, and he said crypto only has half the interest of OnlyFans on Google Trends right now. But a year ago, they were tied.
I feel like that's fair. Like, your crypto versus boobs, like boobs is going to win, man.
Church has 3 times more search interest than crypto.
That's not bad.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, wild.
And then someone had the perfect comment. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do this. But basically, he put together as to why that was. And the idea being essentially that, like, what happened was is when things get rough.
Do you want me to try to find it?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Where is it?
It's
OnlyFans. Is it underneath that one?
Yes.
Okay, I'll share it and then just tell me to. I'll scroll down.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be the first comment because it's not even that big of a tweet.
Cool.
But yeah, it's pretty funny analysis on the situation.
Oh, why can't I go to Chrome? Oh, there we go. I think I found it.
With the
Cool.
Chrome.
Can you see it?
Yep. So that first one right there, he said, makes sense. KNV, he said, makes sense. When people go broke from gambling, they either double down on gooning or just seek guidance from God. I thought that was perfect. Zach Vole said, this is the analysis I was looking for.
Yeah. It's probably pretty well nailed. And as much as we laugh so we don't cry, there's a strong degree of truth to that, right? Where I think a lot of people just feel like there's no hope. So they're going to anything that makes them feel anything. Even if it's like temporary, right?
100%, man. So into the pure jokes for the day, we have this one about Trump when his ratings drop. Every time Trump's poll numbers drop. Oh man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that was pretty good. Let's see what else we got in the back end.
I love The Office, man. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, man. In fact,
So
it's a
good.
major test for me if someone is a fan of The Office or not. It says so much about their personality, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to a girl and she doesn't like The Office, bro, it's just out of here, dude.
Really?
No.
That's the criteria.
But it definitely means something. Company asked an AI how to fire people less painfully. Here we go, HR gamification. Let's see how this went down.
You are five, D. You are 5D. You are 5. You are.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's so good.
Oh man. Shout out to Sharp for the find on that one.
That is a little more fun, right?
You said what?
That's a little more fun than just getting fired.
Yes, dude. I don't know. I feel pretty messed up about that still. This one says, so this one right here was this guy who was sitting down at the dinner, at the correspondence dinner. He did not budge. In fact, he just kept eating his food.
Ketchup is in that room. You've got Scott Bessent in that room. You have Tulsi Gabbard in that room. Vance in that room, after the President of the United States. And as John mentioned, the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's great.
You know, there's people ducking under the tables and trying to hide and whatnot. And
He's
yeah,
eating.
yeah.
I saw one that they even used as the still for like the news shot, and it was this lady like hiding under the table. I'm like, why did they pick this photo? I gotta find it for you, man. It was so good.
Oh, man. There was also him actually making a statement. I don't know where I put it, but that they got that guy. They found the guy and like asked him about the situation. I think I might have it over here. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. I'm old. Like, if I get down, I'm not getting back up. So I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy my dinner," I think is what he said. I don't know if that was a real comment from him or not, but I thought that was pretty darn funny.
Man, I can't find the image, but it was like so memey. You know how like when the internet used to be not crazy enough or slow enough where if something happened at a major event and it was funny in any way, it became a meme? Or like you used to be able to watch something like, let's say the Super Bowl or whatever, and if someone did something funny, there wasn't the sheer volume of content, so that would become a meme that got shared around everywhere, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
This photo that I saw gave me those vibes hard. I really want to find it. I'll keep looking, but go ahead.
Word, man. I think those are the main things because Twitter doesn't want to let me be. They're trying to hold me back. They're trying to hold me back. But yeah, there was also like one of these senators going out there. She was reading a script and like called World War II, World War 11. That was another thing that happened. But I won't point her out because, you know, people get upset about stuff like that. So, but yeah, other than that, man, it's community time.
Cool. Let's do it.
So shout out to all of you for being around here as we continue to grow this thing and having these conversations. Last episode, we talked about explaining viral fame and how it's being bought in this day and age. Talked about some characters that are essentially using the internet and its new economic models to get famous and then build businesses off of it, which I think was an incredible episode. Like, I think for all of the people who just need like a social media 101 lesson or at least want to get caught up on what's happening, incredible episode where we break all of that down. And I would highly recommend sending this to someone who you care about, who's like trying to understand how the internet works and like what's going on, trying to navigate not being deceived and scammed and things of that nature. Thomas Wilson 6373 said, "I appreciate your integrity and commitment to creating quality content, guys. That's what makes you stand out from the rest." We appreciate that, Thomas. We appreciate that. Mint Coiner, enjoying the conversation in the channel. What up, Mint Coiner? Sterlakini, nobody wants to solve anything anymore. They just want ish to be mad at. Most people that complain and protest and have so much to say never do anything past talking. Israel said, "Love your channel." Soul Man's a Capital, new sub. Welcome in.
Welcome.
Lawrence Israel, Demolition Ben. Shalom. I'm just getting started, but I love how Ben breaks it down. Break it down, Ben.
Appreciate you, Lawrence. You're always a legend.
Grace and peace. Ricky Jang Travel. Go deeper on the Jeff Booth stuff.
I emailed them 2 more times. So so we will certainly try.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep.
This was pretty good.
Sophie J. Most people don't know the difference between left and right. Hint. Left means collectivism, the greater good, and the right means individualism. Individual rights are prioritized over the collective. This means far left extreme collectivism, communism, and far right is extreme individualism, anarchy. And then goes on to say, yet most people I know think National Socialism, you know, the German thing, a collectivist government is far right. And then someone responded saying, isn't fascism on the far right of that spectrum, though?
Yeah, honestly, like, I feel like even people have like different views of like definitions of even those words on the spectrum too. It's like such a a shit show, because that's also something that was like largely weaponized for Division 2 on like these different things, because they're like characters that were created for rallying cries to make people willing to go to wars or unify, right? Like there's so many of these things that play here. Like a lot of the cultural things that we think are just like things because they've been drilled into our heads enough, they were done for a purpose of like movement, like either to get us together, to divide us, to make someone the enemy. So yeah, deliberately you would also change the interpretation of things quite a bit. But yeah, that's what's always fascinating. I just think people get too angry about all that shit. It's like, yo, let's come to a conversation and figure out what's right.
100%, man. But yep, that was that for this episode, and then we can jump into some CTAs or anything else that you want to share.
Well, yeah, go ahead. You found it? Where did you? Is that okay? You sent it to me directly. Cool. Yeah, that is the one. That is the one.
So let's see if I found the picture.
Yeah, it's like the lady just dropped down, and like the thing that I saw, I'll share my screen and then I'll show you guys. But the thing that I saw was from this news broadcast, and they had this as like before they went into the video. It was just I'll show my screen here. Here we go. It was just like this. But they zoomed in on the lady, so it was like just her. Her face was like so big in it. I'm like, why did you guys pick this? So yeah, that was it. Let me see if I can zoom.
Oh my.
I can't, but yeah, that's it.
I think it's fascinating how like some people's reactions are like, oh my God, like this is so scary. And then Dana White, like, yeah, that was awesome.
Well, look, he runs the freaking power slap thing. Like that shit's crazy, man.
What is that?
So the UFC, obviously he blew up so big, and then I don't even know if he's an owner in that anymore. So he probably needed a way to expand, right? Like, or wanted it. And so the new brand that he started building was this power slap competition.
Gotcha.
That is like, because at least with UFC, it's quite barbaric, but there's so much skill involved, and there's an art form to it to a degree, right? This is the dumbest shit ever. Like this is just CTE in motion. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how viral that stuff went too.
Because it was great for clips.
Yeah.
Which that's, if anything is great for clips, it's probably not good for you. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, bro. Like, and I do think people will start waking up to this in a very big way. And I do think the pendulum will swing back the other way, and people will start bragging about only watching long form content, and they'll literally be like, oh, I don't watch clips, man. Like, well, you're like that. You know what I mean? It'll take time, but people will realize how destructive this is.
Yeah, 100%. Derek Daughtery said CTE speed run. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's crazy, man. I see these videos, and it's like, because I've had head injuries before, and so I looked into head injuries a lot more. It's a very serious thing, man. And this is just like so unbelievably stupid, because in the context of a football game, was it dumb for me to hit my head? Of course, but like there's other things that I'm getting around it, right? And I guess these guys are getting paid, and girls, but I can't imagine it's much if there's already payment problems in the UFC in general. What are you gonna pay these slappers a lot? Like I highly doubt that.
No doubt they're getting paid for what they're going through, man. No doubt.
Can't be much though. I heard they tried to do a reality show where they basically did like the Ultimate Fighter was a big thing that really made the UFC popular as well, because there was like and that's an incredibly powerful thing. I was actually saying that to you too, where I was like, if any crypto project were to come to me, that's what I would do, man. I would try to make like a really cinematic, bingeable story that gets people down for the cause, right? Like Formula One. Why did Formula One become so popular? Because that's Netflix series, man. Like so many of my buddies would never freaking watch that shit, but they watched the whatever it's called, and then now they were super big Formula One guys. And so the Ultimate Fighter was that, where it's like not guys in the UFC, but guys trying to make the UFC, but they were getting coached by guys, and it was like a reality TV show, and that really did well.
Totally, man. Big herd. With all of that, I think we've got a few things that we want people to know about. Correct?
Yes, we certainly do. Do you want me to say, or you go ahead?
So we are launching a channel called M&M Highlights, Memes and Markets Highlights, where we're going to be taking the highlights from our conversations that we have on the live show and turning it into more of a standardized podcast format so that you guys can, for one, enjoy that if you aren't able to make it to the lives and you want to see that in a nice, well cut up sort of version, as well as for new people who would like to discover the podcast and don't understand the value of being here live just yet.
Yeah, the lives are obviously the OGs, and they'll get to that eventually, but they need their way in, and we also needed to give you guys something that you could share to someone where they may actually watch it.
Because that's the other thing that Ben has always been saying is like 3 hours, you know, like if you send that to someone, the likelihood of them ever even clicking that is very low.
Incredibly low, right? Whereas we're going to deliberately break these into chunks around specific subjects where I personally think you learn more from a conversation that is free flowing like this. I think people will get to that, but when they can't participate in enough of the free flowingness, it becomes intimidating. And so this is our antidote to that. So if you guys could go subscribe to that, I've made it the first link in the description box down below. I think you guys will enjoy it. We're going to push to get that rocking as soon as we can. We've got some, we should have like 3 rolling out within the next like day or 2.
Yep. So hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and check us out over there. Super excited for you guys to see what that looks like. It's a nice evolution of this ecosystem that we're building out.
Yes, it'll be good. Yeah, 100%. They need their gateway in. So we've got the general clips channel, which is more for like total normies, like top of funnel stuff, 6-minute to 12-minute, 15-minute kind of deal, incredibly consumable. You don't need to know a lot about a lot besides the subject itself. Even you don't even need to know that. You just need to know the concept exists, and then you're in. And then this will kind of be the next wave up. And then the real OGs, the real cool people, they come here, they hang out live.
100%.
Yeah. The lives are where it's at. And I think more and more people will start to like that a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure, folks. It's totally just like a separate form of consumption. And this is all comes down to the genius of Ben and how he thinks about the distribution of content, because there's always a way, right, to kind of like get what you're trying to accomplish. Ben, you sent me this the guy who like hacked the PlayStation the other day to be able to get his game to work on it the way that he wanted to, and like I'm like, Ben, you do that with content.
I love people like that, bro. That's what I don't like ever hearing the word no. It's just like, okay, how do you do it, right? And that's also the best stuff is usually hidden around stuff like that. Like what we're building here, so many people would want to do it, but they don't know how, right? So they just say they can't. That's why everyone optimizes for clips, and that's why they're stuck with a clip-based audience, right? Like, why are we able to have this awesome thing where everyone in here is actually smart? Do you know how rare that is on the internet?
Right.
Like that's almost impossible to have.
For sure.
So, and then obviously now we have these pieces where it's like, hey, people who want to evolve, they can do that within the ecosystem. So we'll continue to do that. Producer Sharp will be handling those. He's made some awesome trailers for that. So we've tried to make it as consumable as possible, because we also know that I'm sure you guys would love to get your friends more involved in stuff like this, but if they can't get themselves there, they ain't coming. And what I mean by that is like a spiritual level, a comprehension level. So we're trying to give them ways in.
For sure. Another thing that I think we're going to go ahead and launch pretty soon. Well, first off, we're going to do some evening streams coming up soon. And we're going to start doing, we're going to create an email so you guys can send in voice notes of things that you guys want us to talk about, or that you have an opinion on, that you think you're disagreeing with us, or whatever it may be. We'll have an email for you guys. So get prepared. Start thinking about the things that you disagree with us on, or things that you want to debate about or talk about, and we'll play your voice notes, and then we'll respond live.
Yeah. And eventually when we have the logistics sorted, we will probably even eventually do call-ins, but this is a great entryway into that, where you don't have to be here at the exact time. So I think it could lead to even better, like more volume of people, because they don't have to actually show up live.
100%. With all of that said, for anyone who's not able to show up live, and or people who are enjoying this in other formats as well, we are on Spotify. Okay, so for everyone who's here, you've most likely by now, if you haven't given us a review, then I don't know that I trust that you're really here. It's like you're a ghost.
Seriously.
Definitely hit the link in the description. Go and give us a review over here on Spotify. We're continuing to get just a little bit of traction here and there on the platform, which is huge for us. And so when you guys go and leave us that review, it really makes a massive difference for discoverability of the podcast. And also, if you have already given us a review, be sure to hit that follow button, because Spotify actually told us, they said, yo, you need to get your people to follow
Do
you.
that. Yeah. So obviously they're optimizing towards that if they literally told us that directly. So we would appreciate that from you guys. I think what it does is if you follow the show, it automatically downloads to your Spotify downloads section.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. I've done a lot of Spotify listening, and you gotta have the follow button.
That's genius, but also quite deceptive, because now if you think about it, like, what do they optimize that change for? It's because now when the podcaster can now go sell to like the advertiser that they have this many downloads.
Well, yeah, and so I don't know if it would count as a download in that sense.
I think it does, and then it counts as plays if they actually play it.
Interesting.
You can go on to Spotify for creators whenever you want and look at it. But my understanding is because like right when we post, we have downloads, and then a few days later we have plays. So I think that might be what it did, because short term they get some more advertising dollars
until they figure it out, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool, man.
Awesome. Well, that's all from me. Do you have anything else, Keith?
Nothing from me, man. I'm super excited about everything. Super happy. Appreciate you guys for being here on the journey.
That's it. Well, that's everything for me then. We're back on Thursday. Do we have a guest scheduled?
Nope.
No guest. Cool. Well, then we're going to come with a banger topic for y'all. We appreciate you spending your time with us, and we will see all of you guys on Thursday. Have a wonderful day in between that, and we appreciate you.
Make today the best day of your life, folks.
That's it. Be the light that you want to see, and we will see all of you beautiful people on Thursday. Bye-bye.